Hey y'all, welcome back to your go-to our channel. And before we dive into all the juicy tea, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments below because you're going to want to sound off on this one. So listen, I was digging through some old footage and stumbled across a clip from about 3 years ago that's just too ironic not to bring up again, especially considering all the recent drama that unfolded this past Easter involving none other than Tiffany Henyard. Now, if you've been following her controversies, you know that every time she says one thing, the exact opposite somehow ends up happening. Well, in this vintage gem of a clip from the early Coco-era Zoom meetings. Yes, back when everyone was stuck at home and village matters were handled virtually, Tiffany gets all worked up about something pretty specific: trespassing at the old village hall. She's addressing the board of trustees and residents, and with a very serious tone she says, "There is no trespassing at the old village hall." She drags out the word trespassing like it's the cardinal sin of the century. She follows that up by saying she's received reports that someone was sneaking into the hall without permission. Then she turns it up a notch and says, "Whether you're an ex-employee or a resident, I don't understand why you're in there or how you even got the code." She sounds genuinely outraged, like this is the biggest threat facing the village. And you can tell she wants everyone to know she's taking this very seriously. But here's where the irony comes in, and it's almost comical when you put it next to what we know now. Because fast forward to 2024 and 2025, and the allegations Tiffany's facing paint a completely different picture, one where the rules she once stood on a soapbox to defend don't seem to apply to her anymore. She was so pressed about unauthorized access back then, and yet now, it's her own administration that's being accused of things far worse than just wandering into a locked building. It's the perfect example of Tiffany's signature move. Say one thing loudly in public, then do the exact opposite when no one's looking. What makes this clip even more wild is the intensity she brought to it. The way she emphasized the trespassing, the moral outrage, the tone of authority. It's like she was setting a legal precedent for what happens when people cross boundaries in village property. And now, with everything going on, that quote plays back like a bad joke. It's a moment of unintentional self-exposure, where her own words now boomerang back to bite. The same leader who demanded transparency and accountability is now the face of a growing list of controversies and investigations, some of which dwarf a simple trespass complaint. So yeah, this clip didn't age well, and honestly, it hits different now. It's a textbook case of hypocrisy, and watching it now through the lens of all that's happened just highlights how performative some of her leadership really was. So, there you have it. Irony at its finest courtesy of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Let me know in the comments if you think this old clip is just embarrassing or actually telling of a much bigger pattern, and stay tuned because with Tiffany, the tea never stops spilling. Crystal clear, if you're caught trespassing, Tiffany Henyard made it known she would prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Her words were stern and direct. You can't just walk into a government building uninvited or unannounced. Sounds fair enough, right? Basic rules of security, order, and respect for public property. But just when you think she's laying down the law in an even-handed way, the plot thickens, and the irony gets almost comical. In this same old clip from her early days as mayor of the village of Betton, yes, let's roll with that creative spelling, Tiffany says, "It was brought to my attention that someone, a former Village of Betton employee, is wearing the Village of Betton uniform." Now this is where you lean in because yes, she really said it. And yes, it really is as petty as it sounds. She accuses this former employee of impersonating a village worker simply for being seen in official village-branded clothing after they were fired. We're talking the whole getup, logoed gear, official merch, probably even the jacket with the patches that screams, "I work here," all while no longer being on payroll. Tiffany essentially frames it like this person is committing a felony-level offense by being seen in uniform after getting the boot. But here's where it all comes full circle in the messiest way possible. This is the same Tiffany who's been at the center of scandal after scandal, accused of blurring every line between personal power and public accountability. She fired someone years ago, but instead of ensuring those uniforms were collected, inventoried, or restricted like any proper HR protocol would dictate, she lets the merch keep circulating, maybe even enjoying the ego boost of people still, being seen in her branded Super Mayor apparel like they're part of her loyal entourage. She says with absolute authority that once you've been fired, you're out. No rights to the uniform, the logos, or any association with the village. But isn't she the one who hands out custom merch like it's candy at a parade? That's where it gets real messy. Tiffany is playing both sides of the fence, being the ultimate enforcer when it comes to anyone else crossing the line, yet conveniently ignoring the exact same rules when they apply to her or her chosen circle. She says it's illegal to impersonate a village employee. But is she even following her own policies? Is there a process in place to recall those uniforms? Or is she just shouting down anyone who doesn't fall in line while letting the chaos swirl behind the scenes? The truth is, her hard stance on impersonation and trespassing feels a lot less about justice and more about control, deciding who gets access, who gets blamed, and who gets dragged in front of the public as an example. It's not about upholding rules. It's about using them as weapons. And the fact that this all came from a clip meant to project authority and order, but now reads like a masterclass in hypocrisy, is exactly why people are paying attention. She wants to be the final word, the judge and jury, the gatekeeper of who gets to wear the uniform of bet and pride, but at the same time, she's curating a brand more than governing a village. And that, friends, is the tea. Tiffany Henyard's rulebook only seems to apply when it benefits Tiffany Henyard. Tiffany Henyard, once the self-declared super mayor, is out here still playing the role long after the curtain has fallen, and it's giving pure political cosplay. At a recent Easter event, despite no longer holding the title of mayor, or even supervisor, there she was, front and center, handing out food she reportedly didn't even pay for, posing like she's still in office, as if nothing changed. And that's where the irony slaps hard. This is the same Tiffany who once preached from a virtual podium about how ex-employees must not impersonate village staff, wear official uniforms, or use village property after termination. She spoke with such righteous indignation about trespassing and misrepresentation, warning people they'd be prosecuted if they dared to act like they were still part of the administration. Fast forward to 2025. And here she is, quite literally embodying everything she once condemned, smiling for cameras as if she still runs the show, making speeches, and posing with community members under the pretense of authority she no longer possesses. Sis, the delusion is strong, and the hypocrisy is louder than the mic she's probably still holding. But it doesn't stop there. Tiffany's entire reign has been marked by scandal, power grabs, and a stunning disregard for process and accountability. And now, even after being officially removed or voted out, or fired, depending on who's telling it, she's still out here acting like nothing changed. The buildings she's using as her backdrop, still public property, the volunteers, and resources she's attaching herself to? Most likely not hers to command. It's a page straight out of the playbook of a fallen celebrity who refuses to accept the finale. And while Tiffany's role-playing might be amusing to some, it's dangerously misleading to residents who might not even realize she's no longer in charge. It's also a slap in the face to actual village officials and employees who are trying to pick up the pieces after her chaotic tenure. Oh, and let's not even get started on the wig, because it's doing no favors to the persona. She's still trying to project. Someone online said it looked like it was made out of fishing line, and honestly, they weren't wrong. It's giving marine supplies, not municipal leadership. The color's off, the texture's a mess, and it's kind of a metaphor for the whole situation. All show, no substance. If she's trying to sell authority, this look is more garage sale than government. People are calling her out not just for clinging to power she no longer has, but for the sheer shamelessness of it all. Taking photo ops, issuing public statements, still using the village's name like she owns it. The contradiction is wild. Tiffany's threatening others with legal action for impersonating village employees, while she herself impersonates the highest-ranking official of the entire village. You can't make this stuff up. It's like she never left office in her own mind, and now she's staging her own political fanfiction out in the open. The delusion would be funny if it weren't so problematic. Meanwhile, real issues in the village, like transparency, financial oversight, and public trust, are being completely ignored while Tiffany uses every public event as a personal runway and photo op. The question now is, will anyone actually step in and hold her accountable? Or are we just stuck watching The Tiffany Show until the final season ends in handcuffs? Either way, this isn't governance, it's a spectacle. Tiffany Henyard, once known as the self-proclaimed super mayor, continues to operate in full delusion mode, pulling stunts that blur the lines between reality and roleplay. Especially at a recent Easter event where she appeared front and center, giving away food she didn't pay for, posing like she still held office, despite no longer being mayor or even supervisor. But the real comedy, or tragedy depending on how you see, it lies in the deep irony of her actions. This is the same woman who has made a public show of accusing others, specifically a former employee, of impersonating a Village of Dalton staff member simply for wearing a uniform. She publicly condemned it as a crime, a violation of Village policy, and promised prosecution to the fullest extent. And yet, here she is, putting on her own political cosplay, pretending to be in charge, basking in the limelight of community events as if the public voted her back in. The hypocrisy is jaw-dropping. Tiffany, who once scolded others for misrepresenting the village, is now the very embodiment of what she once called unlawful, walking around in a faux position of power, acting like she still runs the town. Add to that her bizarre commitment to maintaining the illusion of control, and it's clear she's grasping at whatever scraps of influence she can hold on to. But it gets even more ridiculous when you consider her style choices, most notably, that wig. Let's talk about it. Tiffany reportedly spent $1,000 on a hairpiece that looks more like a failed DIY project than a luxury custom wig. It's giving yellow-brown confusion, like someone tried to go blonde with a box dye from the clearance aisle and gave up halfway. Whether it's synthetic or real hair, that thing is a fashion felony. No shade to anyone doing their best, but if you're going to throw shade at others for not being professional or presentable, maybe don't show up looking like you glued a fishing net to your scalp. It's not just a bad wig, it's a symbol of this whole situation. Messy, overpriced, and completely detached from reality. And while she's strutting around like she's still in charge, wagging fingers and talking about accountability, the community sees the disconnect. She's performing power, not practicing leadership. Her fixation on going after someone for still having a uniform after being fired, likely just picking up their belongings, is laughably petty. Tiffany's tendency to overinflate minor issues into full-blown crises is her signature move. Escalate, deflect, and distract from the real messes she's left behind. This pattern is becoming more obvious with every public appearance, and people are growing tired. The Easter stunt might have fooled a few passers-by, but more and more residents are calling her out for the blatant impersonation. It's not just inappropriate, it borders on deceptive. Tiffany's desperation to remain relevant is showing, and no amount of $1,000 wigs or free food handouts can hide the fact that her time in office is over. She's clinging to the image of authority, while the foundation of her influence crumbles beneath her. This isn't civic leadership. It's cosplay with a side of delusion. And as more of her actions come under scrutiny, it's becoming clear that no costume, no speech, and no dramatic gesture can cover up the reality. Tiffany Henyard is no longer the mayor, and pretending to be one just makes her the punchline in her own political farce. Tiffany Henyard continues to be a walking contradiction, and honestly, it's reaching comedic levels at this point. Here she is, shouting from rooftops about how former Village employees shouldn't be wearing Village gear after being fired, acting like it's some sort of felony offense. Meanwhile, she's been running around front and center at community events, acting like she still holds office, pretending to be both mayor and supervisor when, in reality, she holds neither title anymore. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. You can't tell people it's illegal to impersonate a Village employee when you're literally doing the exact same thing in broad daylight. Tiffany, come on now, the self-awareness is non-existent. What's worse is she does it all with this inflated sense of authority, as if the whole Village didn't already see through the facade. Here's the kicker, though. This performance might have fooled a few folks early on, but most of us are wide awake now. And let me tell you, I've got a little prediction. June 7th, 2021 might have been your moment in the sun, but March 2024, that's the turning point, sis. Mark my words, someone's coming for your seat, and you won't even see it coming. It'll be swift, decisive, and honestly, a long time coming. But the future doesn't have to be a mess for you, Tiffany. 3 years from now, you could actually be in a better place. Calm, happy, peaceful. But that's only if you let go of this petty cosplay and stop clinging to power that isn't yours anymore. Pretending to be in charge, barking orders like the boss, showing up to events in full super mayor mode. It's not fooling anyone, and it's only making the crash that much more public. And let's not forget that cringeworthy idea to name the ice rink after your daughter. Girl, no. Just don't. That's the kind of decision that sounds cute in your head, but is going to age badly real fast. It's giving, I think this is a dynasty, when the reality is closer to, I need attention. We already know the game you're playing. Branding everything in sight, turning public spaces into personal monuments, but naming a rink after your child when your political credibility is hanging on by a thread, it's tone deaf and reeks of desperation. And now, let's pivot to your glam choices. Or, more accurately, the makeup massacre you keep committing. Tiffany, baby, the foundation is too much. I mean, it looks like you're trying to cake your way into a new identity. Whatever you're trying to cover up, dry skin, stress, regret, it's not working. Your face is literally drowning in layers of product, and it's giving, I watched one makeup tutorial in 2016 and never looked back. The cakey look is doing you no favors. It's just more evidence of someone who's so busy trying to present an image that they've completely lost the plot. It's exhausting to watch, and probably even more exhausting to maintain. What makes it all worse is the holier-than-thou attitude that comes with it, like she's above everyone else, when in reality, she's out here breaking the same rules she enforces. That uniform she's so mad about someone else wearing, she may as well be sewing one for herself, because the way she's playing pretend is next level. The entire situation is laughable if it weren't so messy, and the only person who doesn't seem to notice is Tiffany herself. If she took half the energy she puts into fake titles, overdone makeup, and shady antics and channeled it into actual leadership, maybe she wouldn't be facing all this backlash. But as it stands, the pettiness, the lies, the cosplay, it's all catching up to her. People are done with the performance. So Tiffany, if you're listening, maybe it's time to take a step back, do some real soul searching, and figure out who you are without the costume. Because the mayor mask doesn't fit anymore, the foundation isn't hiding anything, and the whole act, it's tired. Alright, that's it from me. If y'all want more tea like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and show some love in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. Behave yourselves. I'm out.